This is week 2 of Shift Your Weight program, and this week is about fueling your body with the right nutrition. So, I've always been a moderately healthy eater. My mum was such a big advocate of eating healthy, going to the naturopath, going to dietitian, never having any junk food. But I always craved it, like as a kid. And it wasn't until later on that I realized where that craving was coming from. And a lot had to do with me being an emotional eater. So at any time where I felt hurt, or I was upset, or I was bored, anything like that, I would go straight for the chocolates. I'd go get the chips. My dad, he would go and get all the good stuff, all of it. He'd come home with ice cream and then get me excited. So that was his way of showing love. And so as years went on and I started to become more aware of that, I knew that there was something missing, that it wasn't the food that was fulfilling me. There was something else that I needed to address. And my auntie bought me this book that says, I Can Make You Thin. And it talked about all of this stuff. It said that weight was a way of protection. We hold on this weight to protect ourselves. And it resonated with me so strongly. And so they would tell you tips and tricks of how you can get over that emotionally eating. So they would say to visualize cockroaches on food. And I'd be like, I'm still hungry, like that's not gonna help. No cockroach is gonna turn me off my food. I love food. And so then as years went on and I started to take my focus away from the food and get into that visualized space of what I wanted to look like, then everything started to come in alignment. I started attracting people who were going to support me with that vision. And I saw a naturopath who helped me, dietitian and all of that. And it would work for a bit of time, but then the weight would still come back on. It wasn't until that I cleared how I felt about myself and cleared all that stuff, got into training and was into balance, that was when my nutrition became more important to me. I went to a retreat by John Gabriel, who is an amazing man. He came up with the Gabriel method, who uses visualization as such a strong method to release weight. And so I went to his health retreat because I wanted to understand the science of food. I wanted to understand more about what my body needed to maintain my healthy weight, because I still felt some cravings. And he was a big advocate of omega-3s, proteins, and live foods. If you have those 3 components in every single one of your meals, your fulfillings are filled. It's not about saying you can't have carbs, you can't eat pasta. It's about adding those 3 things, and then as you go along, you subtract those elements. So I tried it and it was working for me. Then I met the wonderful Jen, who I met at Gold's Gym, and I was exercising and I got a free body composition scale, came in and saw her. My health was great, but I wanted to take it to that next level. And we sat down and she went over my health history. And I told her, what's happened in my past, genetically, what my family have had, what I've gone through. And I was telling her about my energy levels. And she gave me the perfect supplements to fix what was going on for me in my body. So as much as I thought that I was eating the right foods, like having fresh vegetables and eating protein and all of that, my body was still craving the other nutrients. So as much as it's, you know, the old saying, or it's so overdone, eat healthy, you know, eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, eat your proteins, all of that. If you're still craving something, then something's wrong. Your body is not getting what it needs. So I would love to welcome the beautiful Jennifer, who is going to come and speak.
Thank you. So I'm going to be talking to you today about fueling your body with fat loss in mind. So first of all, why would we even bother? Like, what are some of the dangers of obesity? And if you think of it from the head down, we've got mental health, you've got dementia, Alzheimer's, happiness, or lack of happiness, depression. Coming further down, you've got your heart, your cardiovascular disease and blood pressure, risk of stroke. These are all conditions that are more frequent when you are overweight. We've got blood sugar issues, whether it's insulin resistance or diabetes. Diabetes is very, very common with being overweight. Certain cancers, bowel cancers and endometrial cancers are more prevalent in overweight individuals. So we want to be reducing our risk of those cancers. Respiratory conditions, things like shortness of breath. Some people even put sleep apnea down as a respiratory condition because they're not getting the oxygen to their brain overnight. Liver disease and gallbladder disease are other issues that may come up as a problem. Fertility. We see a lot of clients in the clinic for fertility, and the magic number is 5 kilos. You drop 5 kilos and all of a sudden your fertility just increases. So it's a good thing to know. Also, the more overweight you are, the more risk of pregnancy complications and also birth defects. So nobody wants that. So we fix it all up beforehand. You increase your risk of falling pregnant, a beautiful pregnancy and a beautiful bub. It's win-win all around. Gout, not a pleasant condition. Inflamed big toe, nice and painful. And the last one, other musculoskeletal conditions. You can imagine if you're carrying all that extra weight, that extra burden on your weight-bearing joints, like your hips, your knees, your ankles. So that's just quickly some tips, or really some reasons why we should all be here today. When we look at methods of weight loss, who's tried calorie control in the past? Yeah, most of us. It's like a starvation diet. Nobody stays on it for very long. Generally it's limited results, and it's generally fluid loss, and it's generally back on as soon as you quit. I don't call that a successful option. What about a low-fat diet? People tried that? Yeah. I actually think it's one of the most dangerous diets around. We need our beneficial fats. We need our fats to absorb our fat-soluble vitamins. Things like vitamin D. Australia has all of this sunshine, yet as a population we all have most of us have vitamin D deficiency. But if you're not getting the good fats in, you can't absorb it. But also for your brain health, joint lubrication, inflammation, so many things that your beneficial fats do. So please never do a low-fat diet again. Meal replacements. Anyone tried those? Yeah. I'm guilty of that too. Meal replacements can get you to your goal, but you've learnt nothing. So, for example, if you had a wedding coming up and you just really wanted to squeeze into that dress, meal replacements can get you there, but I can guarantee you, on the night of the wedding, the honeymoon, that's when all the weight comes back on because you haven't learnt anything, you haven't changed anything except for putting a meal replacement in, so then when it's over. So again, not a long-term solution. Pharmaceutical medications. Anyone tried any of these? Mm-hmm. You have? Did you have any side effects?
Anxiety.
Yeah. A lot of people complain of anxiety, nausea, vomiting, digestive upsets, diarrhea, heartburn. Sorry, what was that one?
Heart palpitations.
Heart palpitations, yeah. I don't think it's worth it.
No.
Food pyramid. We don't really do the food pyramid anymore, but when we were back at school, we all used to learn the food pyramid, and what they found is that it's upside down. So originally the food pyramid was designed by the Agricultural Society. So what do they want to sell?
Cereals.
Grains. So what do you think went on the eat most? grains. And at the top, eat least, was fats. So that's now turned around the other way. Eat less, your grains, your cereals, and we do need to have plenty of beneficial fats in our diet. But it was about 2 decades ago. Harvard University, a team of scientists and doctors went and researched it again and just went, no wonder we're all fat. We're doing things upside down. So food pyramids are a thing of the past. If you still remember it from school, raise it. Doesn't work. Exercise. Now, exercise is the perfect combination to diet, but you can't out-exercise a poor diet. So it's that 80-20 rule coming in again, where it's 80% about nutrition and 20% about exercise. I know a personal trainer that says abs are formed in the kitchen, not in the gym. So it's coming from a personal trainer. And the final one is ketogenic diet. So ketogenic diet is actually a fat burning diet, where you use your fat as fuel instead of sugar as fuel. So that's what we're going to spend most of the time talking about today. It's a specialised technique where your bone, your muscle and hydration levels are maintained. For me, your bones are gold. Last thing you want to do is do yo-yo dieting all through your life, fall over in your 50s, 60s, break a hip and that's you gone. Bone is gold. We must do everything to preserve it and to grow it. So that's also where exercise comes in. So what we're doing is we're preserving all of that, and it's really the fat cells that we're targeting. Sound good to anyone? Yeah. All right, let's get into some of the macronutrients. So there's 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So let's start with the carbohydrates. So are you all aware that all carbohydrates convert to sugar in the body? All carbohydrates. So there we go. When we look at grains, grains convert to 75% sugar. I'm just going to give you a little visual of that. This is a 200 gram bowl of pasta. 75% is 150 grams of sugar. Oops. And for a lot of people that's a small bowl. So it'll be even more sugar. So your grains, we're looking at cereals, we're looking at bread, we're looking at toast, we're looking at pasta, we're looking at rice. Next, we've got our legumes. So legumes are things like chickpeas, kidney beans, dal, lentils. These are slightly less, they convert to 60% sugar. So when we're on a maintenance diet, when we've lost all the weight, it's fine to put all of these into your diet. But when our goal is fat loss, we're going in a different direction, therefore we need to do things differently for that period of time. Once you've got off the weight that you're hoping to lose, then you can eat from a broader variety of foods. So these 2 groups I would avoid for the short term. Then we move down to nuts and seeds. So nuts and seeds are about 20% sugar, but generally when you eat nuts and seeds, the portion size is like a handful. That's really not that much sugar in the long run. So nuts and seeds you can have a portion size of, as long as you take your portion out, put the rest down.
Not a whole bag.
Not a whole bag, because if you leave it out, you'll eat the whole bag. Been there, done that. Your fruits on average are 12%. Now obviously you've got some good fruits. Fruits are all good, but you've got some higher sugar fruits and some lower sugar fruits. The lowest sugar fruits are your berries and your melons, which are all in season at the moment, so yum. I had raspberries and blueberries in my breakfast this morning. That was really nice. And melons, we're looking at watermelon, rock melon, honeydew, those kind of things. With your vegetables, they average about 8% sugar. Now with vegetables, I think about there's below ground vegetables and above ground vegetables. When you think of anything that's below the ground, it's a storehouse of sugars. It's that storeroom really to feed and nourish the plant. So when we eat that, we're actually eating the sugars. So things like potato, sweet potato, carrots, beetroots, parsnips, turnips, swedes, these kind of foods are higher sugar. Anything above ground, beans, broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, above ground vegetables are lower. So just to give you an idea, when you're walking through the supermarket, you're looking for above ground veggies, and with the fruits preferably, you're looking for your berries and your melons. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here, just to give you an understanding of what happens to this sugar in your body. So we've eaten our carbs. Let's just say it was a 200 gram bowl of pasta, and we know that converts to sugar in the body. Sugar goes into our bloodstream, and the sugar in our bloodstream is our instant fuel. It's what we're using right here and now. It also goes into glycogen. So glycogen is your short-term reserves in your muscles and in your liver. And blood and glycogen levels are interchangeable. So if you're doing something and you run out, glycogen comes up. If you've eaten some more food, so you've had a Mars bar after dinner, all that extra sugar can then move into glycogen once that's full. The other option is fat. So fat isn't interchangeable, can't go back up those same pathways. So I'm going to need your help for a second. Can I get you to come and hold this? Hold this and this. All right, so we've had a 200 gram bowl of pasta. It's converted to 150 grams of sugar. The body will take a teaspoon, and that goes into our blood as our instant fuel right now. Any more than that, and the body starts producing insulin to remove it from the blood supply. Too much blood in the sugar is diabetes. So insulin resistance is like a middle condition where there's too much insulin going on. It's just pushing blood sugars down. Okay, so we've had our bowl, we've got our sugar in our blood. Next step down is glycogen. So it takes about a tablespoon. Puts that into our glycogen. Look how much is left over. Unless you go for a walk after dinner, or a jog, or a cycle, some sort of exercise and burn that off, that's what gets stored as fat. So that's just to give you an idea of what's going on with the carbohydrates. We were talking about ketogenic diets, and how I mentioned ketogenic diets is when we burn fat for fuel instead of having your sugar as a fuel. If we reduce the amount of carbs coming into the body goes, I'm low in sugar in the blood, we better get some from the glycogen. So it pulls some of that into here. But glycogen, it always leaves a minimal reserve. So when it starts getting low, it goes, that's right, we stored some for long-term storage. So right, fat, quick, somebody go and start bringing up some fat, and we'll burn that for fuel. So that's when it starts breaking that down. And when fat gets broken down, it's called ketones. So, sorry, you can't really see it there over there. So ketogenic diet means a ketone producing diet, and that means it's a fat burning diet. But this needs to go via the liver, and we also need some extra potassium in that process. But we'll go through later on. Just hopefully I'll give you bit by bit and we'll summarise it all, put it all together for you at the end. But yeah, so we're not having a no carb diet. Does anyone got any ideas why we wouldn't have a no carb diet?
We need energy.
Well, it comes back more to the 90% nutrition. If we have a no carb diet, we're not having fruits and vegetables, but we need our fruits and vegetables for our vitamins and minerals. So yeah, it's more of a low carb or a no carb, but it's not just no carbs, the legumes are in there as well. They seem to get away with murder, but it's lower with these portion size of the nuts and eating your fruits and veggies. Have I lost anyone so far? Yes. Next macronutrient is protein. So what foods are protein foods? Yep.
Salmon.
Salmon, yeah. Sorry, what did you say, Karen?
Eggs.
Eggs, yes. So think about it as any of your animal products. So we've had chicken, we've got meat, we've got fish, seafood, we have eggs. From the vegetarian forms, we can also use tofu, nuts and seeds. So protein in the body converts to essential and non-essential amino acids. Essential means we must consume it because our body cannot manufacture it, and if we don't have enough, there's a deficiency condition or syndrome linked with it. Note, when we break down carbs, it converts to simple sugar. If we don't have enough sugar, our body can produce fuel from other means. So protein so far is more important in your diet than carbohydrates because of those essential amino acids. Amino acids are the structure of every single cell in your body. Skin cell, blood cell, immune cell, neurotransmitters, it goes on, every cell. And you've got about 10 trillion of them. So that's a lot of protein there. Yes, so we've gone through all of that. So I like protein, you can have protein. I'm not even fussy about your sources. Like if you prefer fish to chicken, have fish. If you prefer steak, have steak. And the final macronutrients are our fats. So fats are like the protein in that they convert to essential and non-essential, this time fatty acids. So has anyone heard of omega-3? So omega-3 is one of the essential fatty acids. And we definitely need that in our diet because our body can't manufacture it. So fatty acids reduce inflammation. So they're very good for arthritic type conditions because they're for lubrication and also to reduce the inflammation in there. We've spoken previously about it also being for absorption of our fat soluble nutrients like vitamin D, but also vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin K and calcium. Like how many people drink calcium for their milk? I mean milk for their calcium, but if they're not having a full fat, they're not absorbing their calcium. This is also interesting. So every single cell in your body, protein, yeah? On the outside, so we've got these things called phospholipids. And these are like little channels. They allow the nutrition into the cell and they allow the toxins out of the cell. Without enough of these, this cell will prematurely age and die. Your cells will look like under a microscope, your cells will look like a raisin rather than a grape. So that's why fish oils are one of the anti-aging products because they make your cells look plump and healthy. But that's different from fat. That's not, oh, you're looking fat. It's, you're looking healthy. Fats don't equal fat in the body, which was a big misconception previously, which is why everyone was on low-fat diets. So yeah, fat is not body fat. Carbohydrates, sugar is excess body weight. Good sources, eggs, olives, seafood, nuts and seeds. All right, so when we're looking at some guidelines for putting meals together, we're having a good protein. We're having a beneficial fat. Vegetable, salad or fruit for our phytonutrients. Actually, it's back to what Nicole said at the beginning. A good protein, a good fat with some phytonutrition in there. And obviously we need hydration, so we need water or herbal teas. We're going to look what it does not contain. So a healthy diet with the goal of fat loss in mind doesn't contain sugar. So sugar added or soft drinks or lollies or foods that contain sugar. We're avoiding our grain-based carbohydrate. Reasons we demonstrated before. Your legumes are also temporarily on the no list. Milk. Does milk surprise anyone?
I was told we're not supposed to drink it at all.
Not really. Milk, cow's milk is designed for calves. I'm not a calf, therefore it's not for me.
I was told more like goat's milk.
Again, you're not a baby goat.
Yeah.
And what are you having your milk with? Because most people have milk with their cereals, but if we're avoiding your grains.
What about coffee?
So in your coffee, have you ever tried coconut milk in your coffee?
Oh, I didn't drink coffee, but I'm just saying.
Okay, so you can use other milks, coconut milk. I even know people that put butter in their coffee.
What about soy? Is that any better?
If your goal is fat loss, I still wouldn't go there. If your goal is fat loss, caffeine for some people can inhibit fat loss.
I love my coffee though. Yeah.
But it's for some people and not for others. So what I tell most of my clients, if you're a big coffee drinker, cut back to 1 a day. Do the other guidelines that we've spoken about, and if you lose weight, fantastic, you can have your 1 coffee a day. If you do everything and keep your 1 coffee a day and nothing shifts, it's time to have a new discussion about the caffeine intake. Deep fried foods, we don't want those horrible deep fried fats in our diet, and normally what they're deep frying is root vegetables, which we've discussed before are high in sugar. Table salt. Does anyone put a lot of table salt in the foods? Table salt, well, when we're looking at natural salt contains 43 trace minerals. When they process it to make it table salt, they strip all those minerals out, and what we're left with is sodium and chloride, and in some cases they add iodine back in. That's 3. What about the other 40 trace minerals? This is causing imbalance in our electrolytes. Some people get a lot of fluid retention. But you can use sea salt or rock salt, because these are natural salts that contain the full spectrum of trace minerals. You're getting 43 rather than 3. So a good way to know with your salts, what colour is it?
Mine's pink.
Pink, you've got the Himalayan rock salt.
Yes.
Rock salt's normally pink. Sea salt's normally grey. If it's white, I'm afraid it's been bleached, because natural salt isn't white. Any questions on these? Okay, let's keep moving. So the next slide is about some ideas for breakfast. But before I move through, I want to see if you guys have any ideas for breakfast based on the guidelines that we've gone through before. So just shifting back, we want a good protein, a good fat, fruits, veggies or salad. So eggs. Eggs any way you like them, boiled, fried, poached, scrambled, omelette. Particularly like omelette because you've got your veggies in there. Actually, the other thing I do with eggs is, I call them mini quiches. But if you've got muffin tray at home, anything you'd put in a quiche. So maybe there's some eggs, maybe there's some bacon, maybe there's some dried tomatoes, mushroom. Make it into a mix, pour it into the muffin trays, bake it, maybe have some when it's hot and it smells lovely, put the rest in the freezer. And then you've got some on the go when you're in a hurry. So you can just defrost them and eat them cold, or you can stick them back in the oven and eat them hot. That could be a snack or a treat or a meal, depending on the amount of them you eat. Smoothie, so well done. I've started doing chia pods for my daughter. It's become quite fussy, and it's your chia seeds soaked in coconut milk. So you can find recipes on the net, or when you buy them, they're called chia pods, and they've got about 8 different flavours. Something to consider. If you absolutely love your cereal, can't live without it, Fibre X is a nut-based porridge. So instead of being from oats, which converts to 75% sugar, it's from nuts, which converts to about 20% sugar. So it's a significant drop in the levels of sugar, and that one just mixes up with water. Fibre X I sell, or you can buy it online from Empower Foods, or some health food stores sell it. This is another one I do heaps, is leftover dinner. Some people go, I couldn't eat steak for dinner, and I go, I can. So maybe just cooking extra dinner, or if you've finished cooking, go, oh, we've got all this leftovers. You can have that for breakfast, or you can have it for lunch, or you can have it for dinner the next day. All right, so moving on to lunch and dinner. I find lunch and dinners are fairly similar styles of foods. All right, so these are some of the ideas that I've written down for you. So any sort of protein and salad, so it can be tuna, chicken, beef, can be boiled eggs, can even just be nuts and seeds in there. This is more winter. I know we're moving into summer, but soups or stews or slow cooked. I love slow cooked, especially slow cooked lamb. But you don't want to be having it with a mashed potato or a rice or a pasta, where the cauliflower rice is another alternative. Have you guys heard of cauliflower rice before? No. So you boil up your cauliflower and you mash it like you would a mashed potato.
Oh, okay.
And then you
So I guess you could do that with broccoli as well.
You could, I never have, but you probably could.
Cauliflower is a bit softer. It can get a bit mushier than
Oh yeah, I mean, put it
Or
through
you
a
can have
blender.
quinoa.
Yeah. Quinoa's
Not for the moment.
No, not really. Wow.
But when your goal is fat loss,
It's like, whoops.
quinoa is a very healthy food,
Yeah.
fabulous for maintenance.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to your goals that little bit quicker, quinoa is something that you maybe save for the future. But I love quinoa. We have a lot of quinoa in my place.
I
But
should have quinoa salad. But I can't.
But with quinoa salad, it's predominantly quinoa with a little bit
Yeah,
of
that's the
veggies
thing.
in it.
Yeah.
It's predominantly carbohydrate now.
That's true.
And I get a small and I eat half of it and I'm like, okay, I can't eat it anymore. So yeah, true.
Yeah. So sorry, Nicole. Save that one for later. I'll give it to me. I'll take all your quinoa from you. Who's tried zucchini pasta?
Yes.
Ah, yum.
What's zucchini?
Zucchini's a vegetable. Ah, you guys call it something else. Oh no, aubergine's eggplant. Zucchini is. We'll have to Google that and get back to you.
I'm Googling it.
It's a green vegetable,
Okay.
It's like a cucumber but more dense.
Yeah.
and you can put it through
Oh,
a.
is it a courgette?
Yes,
That's
yes.
all.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can put it through a spirula, or you can get your peeler and be
I
there
did that
forever.
once. I did like the
What do we get with human body?
the spiral thing.
It's called a veggie.
Yes, I've got the veggetti at home. Yeah, you put it in and through it goes. So, yeah, my ex used to make a beautiful zucchini pasta that had a little bit of chili, a lot of pesto, some crushed nuts and some chicken. Yum. Roast meats. And who's seen the roast cauliflower recipes on Facebook? They pretty much bake the entire cauliflower and just put different sort of seasoning on the top. So that you could do your roast lamb and your roast cauliflower, and maybe so pumpkin is an above ground veggie. So if you're looking for something else to roast instead of your potato, go your pumpkin. And a frittata and salad. I had my first frittata this year on the weekend and it was delicious. I love it. So is this giving you guys some good ideas about what you can have for lunch and dinner? Does anyone have any questions about this before I move on? All right, we're good for now? Awesome. Now we're going to move on to snacks. Actually, before I move, who's got some ideas for snacks?
Nuts.
Nuts. Awesome.
Carrot and celery sticks.
Yeah?
That's what I tend to have.
Yeah. So what we want to try and do is balance our carbohydrates to proteins. So while the veggie sticks are good, it's even better if there's a protein with it. So if you're okay with dairy, it might be a little bit of cream cheese, or maybe it's a nut-based bread. Like these days they do a lot of cashew nuts and almond butters and things like that you can add just to put a bit of protein. Or maybe you have a handful of nuts or a little bit of cheese or something with them just to put some protein in with that snack.
What about
Sorry, what was that?
eggplant?
Eggplant, again, that's just a vegetable, but you can, how do you have that as a snack? Do you just eat the whole eggplant or do you?
They do bubbles and
Oh, I like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love
you do the
them.
hummus and stuff. That's what I
So it
usually
needs to be a
have.
protein containing
Dip.
dip.
Yeah, see, that's nuts.
Is eggplant protein?
No,
No.
it's a
What does
vegetable.
Okay. Yeah, I know hummus is protein because it's chickpeas,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, tahini and sesame.
Yeah.
But we're staying away from chickpeas, aren't we?
A little bit of hummus is not too bad
If you just want to dip with carrots.
because you're normally just having a little bit.
Mm.
If you're having a whole,
Sort of meal based.
then forget it.
Yeah.
What sesame seeds strong in?
Tahini.
But is it protein, fibre?
So it's a
Sesame
combination food,
Yeah.
but generally it's only about 20% carb, and then you've got your protein and your fats in there.
Okay.
So you could have tahini
Yeah.
or
Because they put that with baba ganoush when they make it. They put tahini in it. So
But then you can just have the tahini sauce. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like the one you with the falafel and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Which doesn't have chickpeas or anything in there.
the
What's
best thing
falafel?
to do is to learn how to read labels. So when you're in the shops, well, obviously I prefer you cooking at home, but
Yeah.
I live in the same world you do. I can't cook everything at home. I have to work and raise my family at the same time. But if you are getting bits and pieces from the supermarket, just have a look at the label.
See what's predominant.
For a meal, while you're trying to burn fat, We want under 10 carbs for a meal, and snacks you'd be looking at 5, 6, so roughly half. So that would give you a good indication of whether you put that back or whether you eat it. And like yogurt's a classic one. I've seen some yogurts at 0. I've seen other yogurts at 46. It's just the amount of sugar that they put in, so it's such a good thing to start reading labels. Were you going to ask a question, John?
When it comes to yogurts, like that's dairy, but like what yogurts do you stay clear of? And I know you like your yogurt plays where they've got all that sugar and stuff like that.
No, I don't like those.
Yeah.
I'm at my place at the moment, we're eating coconut yogurt because we're staying away from the dairy. If you don't have a problem with dairy, your Greek yogurts, generally the lower sugar containing yogurts. Again, it's about reading the labels and finding out which ones you like. And like I'm dairy free, but if you're not dairy free, then a bit of cheese or a bit of yogurt is something that you can use on a fat loss program when you're looking for something to eat.
And where do you find the coconut yogurt?
Woolies.
Oh, they have it there? Okay.
Yeah, I used to go to the organic shop and I'd get coconut ice cream, coconut yogurt, my coconut oil, and my coconut milks and creams from stir fries and curries and things.
That used to be me when I was vegan. I'd have to read everything and had no dairy, no nothing.
Yeah. It's funny though, I don't like the packaged coconut water, but I guess because I've lived in Thailand, I've had fresh coconuts. They're so different.
There's only one that I like.
Yep.
Comes with the coconut slices inside it.
Ah.
And they do it at the Thai restaurant that I go to, and they just put it with ice and pour it all in. And
So can you buy that at the supermarket,
I
or
don't
is that
know,
just
I've
at
gotta
the
go
Thai
find-
restaurant?
That's what I mean. I've got to go find out because I know that I'm sure they buy it from somewhere. Like,
Well, they might even import it because I've eaten some things that I can't find anywhere at Thai restaurants.
I'll see if I can get some more.
Since the other night when you first came, I'm obsessed with coconut water. I go to Top Juice and they cut my coconut and I'm like, awesome.
So here's just some other snack ideas. We've been for the nuts, but I wanted to let you know the lowest sugar containing nuts are your almonds and Brazil nuts. We went through fresh fruits, and about the best fruits being the berries and the melons. Boiled eggs. Obviously I don't want you having eggs for breakfast, boiled eggs for snack, a frittata for lunch. Like, there's a limit, it's about variety, but if you haven't had any eggs that day and you just boiled eggs quick and easy. I know I went for a phase where I was boiling up a whole heap of eggs and just leaving them in the fridge so that there were snacks for when people were hungry.
Can you add like I like salt with my egg. Like I can't eat it.
Well, you've got your pink Himalayan rock salt, so you can
just to sprinkle that on top and then eat that straight like that.
Yes.
With avocado. You know what I'm eating tomorrow? Okay, sorry, keep going.
Well, good, I like that. People normally come to a fat loss and go, I'm not going to be able to eat anything.
No.
But there's so many yummy foods out there, and it's not about focusing on what you can't eat. It's about focusing on what yummy foods you're going to eat. Like you started talking about your pancakes that you used to make, and it's like, oh, I remember that now. It's really yummy. So that's what you need to focus on, is the foods that you're excited about eating. And if you're not excited about eating it, don't eat it. Find something else. So we spoke about the veggie sticks and the yogurt and chicken drumsticks. So some people just want a protein snack. I sometimes buy a whole thing of chicken drumsticks, bake them and rather put them in the fridge or the freezer. So there's a snack if somebody's hungry. Could be a tin of tuna or a tin of sardines.
So, just back to the veggie sticks.
Yep.
Carrots. What's the...
So carrots are a root vegetable, but it depends on how much you're having. If you're just having...
As a snack, because generally what I've done in the past is I've prepared like little carrot sticks with just the hummus for between.
So better veggie sticks would be celery, capsicum, cucumber. There's no problem with having a little bit of carrot in there, but I just don't want you having carrot. Because it does sort of add up. If you're having a little bit of carrot maybe every second day or something like that.
The celery is good because it hydrates you as well.
Celery is also the perfect bone food if you've got any bone issues. So now we're going to go through liquids. So water is obviously your number one. Filtered water, bottled water, soda water, mineral water. water. And we're looking at 2 to 2.5 litres a day, especially moving into summer. We're sweating, we're losing some of it. Herbal teas. Some of my favourites, I love rose hip, peppermint, chamomile, green tea. They're all fine. I've written down here homemade iced teas. Don't buy iced teas in the supermarkets because they're all full of sugar. But if you want to make your own iced teas, it's just put your herbal tea, make it up, put it in the fridge, maybe put some ice in it, and you've got some homemade iced tea. And the other thing is homemade flavoured waters. Don't buy the flavoured waters either. They're also full of sugar. I should have brought it in. I've got a water bottle. It's a glass water bottle with a thing in the middle, and I put my lemon or my lime, or you can also sometimes you put cucumber and mint, just different things to get a little bit of flavour in the water. I personally have no problem with water. I can drink 2.5 litres a day with no flavouring, nothing, that's fine, I like it. But I know for some people, if they're moving from soft drinks to water, it's a big transition. Sometimes you need some compromises along the way.
I find also what works best, because I know with me, when I have the big bottles of water, I just look at them like, oh my god, like it's just, I feel overwhelming. Yeah. So I'll go buy, I've got that little Voss bottle, the little glass one.
I think they're 400.
They're in 375 mils.
Okay.
And you just knock them back like there's no tomorrow, and I'll go through.
And like, that is beautiful water.
It's just, oh no, I refill it.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the bottle size.
Well, at least it's a glass water. It's a glass container that you're
and
using.
I find it a lot easier.
I drink the big one. I drink like 3. Yeah. I love my water.
Good, because the big one's about 800. You're getting your water in there if you're having 3 of those a day, so well done. So here's just some other guidelines that you might find useful. Some people find that it helps to write a diet diary, writing down what you eat. For me personally, I find meal planners work better, because if I've sat down and decided what I'm eating, I've written it down, then I've also got my shopping list, I'm buying the right foods, and I know that everything that I need is in the house, because I know if I get home, I live a really, really busy life. Get home, if the right food's out there, I go bugger it, we'll just have something else. So, but just because it works for me, you might find that actually the diet diary, writing after what you've eaten, it's trial and error. Stock up on protein snacks. Put them in your bag, in your car, in your work. And this could be protein bars, it can just be nuts. Maybe it's a tin of tuna, something that you can, maybe you don't want to put that in your car, maybe that one's in work in your drawer. But if we've got foods around, we're more likely to eat better than if we don't. And I find that it helps better if you beat your hunger. Like if you eat breakfast, lunch and dinner and some snacks, you'll generally eat before you become famished, before you, I'm starving, I'm going to eat anybody or anything. If you get to that point, it's too late. You're going to eat the wrong foods. You're going to walk down to the cafe and smell the hot chips or smell the fresh bread, and it's all over. So eat before the hunger comes. And if you've eaten and you're still hungry, drink, because sometimes hunger is actually dehydration. So make sure you get plenty of water in there. Have a look at your portion sizes. Being a Westerner, most of us have huge portions that we don't need. Try and bring that in a little bit. Get moving. Like I said here, exercise isn't an option, it's a necessity. We've gone through keep well hydrated. Having a daily bowel movement. When we're burning fat, we want to make sure that our toxins are released. So walking along the street, we're breathing in toxins, we're eating foods that might be slightly contaminated, maybe some heavy metals or pesticides or something in there. Our body wants to get that away from our vital organs and will push it into our fat cells. So now that we're changing our diet so that we can actually start releasing some of those fat cells, we're also releasing some of those toxins. And we want to get them out of the body. We don't want them recirculating and planting somewhere else. Let's process them once and get rid of them. When you are in ketosis, you do lose some of the ketones through breath. You do lose some with urination, you lose some through the bowel, and you lose some from sweat. So some people say when they're in ketosis that their breath smells different, that their body odour smells a little bit different. But when you're thinking about, that's a small amount of ketones that are coming out of breath and that are coming out of body odour and urine. The biggest is really coming out through the bowel. And if your bowel's not working, it also puts pressure on the other areas, so you're more likely to get body odour and bad breath. So let's keep that bowel moving and get those toxins out. There's no problem with short-term taking a laxative if you need it. But I much prefer you come talk to me. We'll see if we can sort something out, a better solution out. Accountability is phenomenal. But if you're a couple, I don't necessarily recommend accountability to each other. It might be fights, but it might be being accountable to Nicole or to myself or to a personal trainer or somebody that's going to help you reach your challenge rather than tell you off for not having strong enough willpower. Because that doesn't help anyone. You need solutions. There was a reason why you cheated or a reason why you fell off the wagon. Yes. And tracking your success. So it's a really good idea to know what your weight is now. So when you start making some changes, you can get excited. Sometimes success is just, a different notch in your belt, or you're fitting into some clothes that you didn't fit into before. I'm not so excited about what's on the scales. When it's about health, it's about how you feel and what clothes you're fitting into. So there's certain underlying reasons that block fat loss or that cause plateaus along your journey. And it's good that we've got the one-on-one appointments, because if you have any of these, then we can touch base on those. But I'll quickly go through with you. Stress. So when you're stressed, your body produces 3 main hormones: cortisol, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Noradrenaline's job is to actually increase your blood supply so you can run away from that saber-toothed tiger. Adrenaline's job is to increase your respiratory rate so that you can get more oxygen in to run away from that saber-toothed tiger. And cortisol's job is to turn your glycogen, your short-term stored sugars, into active sugars, so we've got the fuel to run away from that saber-toothed tiger. The problem is with stress these days, we're not running away from anything. We are sitting at our desk getting in trouble with our boss for not meeting the deadline, or having a fight with our partner. Other things are going on. We're not actually physically burning them, but when we are stressed, we've got all this additional sugar in our blood that shouldn't be there. And this is also going to cause fat gain. It can also cause diabetes. I have a couple of clients in the clinic who are skinny diabetics, and that's all through stress. So just be wary of that. If stress is a major factor in your life, come talk to me, because there's things we can do. Sleep. Sleep is when our body recovers and repairs and heals. If we're not getting adequate sleep, how does this happen? And the other thing is, normally during the day, we're eating regularly during the day. Maybe if you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, and maybe you don't start eating until 6 o'clock in the morning, that's 10 hours of fasting overnight. That accelerates this process. Why I'm talking about this process, I just wanted to let you know, if you want to measure your level of ketones, there's a urinary dipstick. So it's like a little pregnancy test. You wee on the stick in the morning and compare it to the colour on the back. And the colour will let you know the amount of ketones that you're burning. And the numbers are 0, 0.5, 1.5, 4, 8 and 16. Anywhere between 0.5 and 4, and you're in a good level of fat burning. With 1.5 being the absolute ideal. And the good thing about these sticks is they're like a seesaw. One's your carbohydrate end, one's your protein end. And it helps to individualise a diet plan for you. Because I can see whether you as an individual need more protein or more carbohydrates, so that you can burn the adequate amount of fuel. And keto sticks are quite cheap. So that's something else that you might want to consider doing. But back to here, fatty liver. Because this process of burning fat into ketones happens in the liver, if your liver's not optimally functioning, it can't do an awesome job at burning fat. You'll probably still burn fat, but it might be in a much slower process. But the good thing about ketogenic diets is it's actually also a treatment for fatty liver, because eventually you'll also burn the fat out of your liver as well as the fat out of the other areas. So win-win. The final thing I want to say about this, I call it the keto buzz. I love being in ketosis. Ketones, in comparison to sugar, are the preferred fuel source for the brain and for the heart. So when you're in a good stable level of ketosis, you think clearer and you have more energy. Who doesn't want that? Thyroid dysfunction, your thyroid regulates your metabolism, and your metabolism regulates how much you lose or gain weight. So that's also something else, that the better the thyroid's functioning, the quicker you'll get your results. It's not to say if you have a thyroid issue you won't gain results. You might just need little tweaks along the way. But often I do find that the diet helps with the thyroid as well. Because with metabolism we can help it by exercising, and we can help it by avoiding our carbohydrates. That's what we're doing. And blood sugar disorders and diabetes. Diabetes is something that I prefer to have one-on-one consultations with before I put someone on a fat burning process, just because I want to make sure it's safe for them as an individual and they know how to cope with their medications and their insulin levels. But nobody's here is diabetic today, so we don't have to worry about that. But the diet also fixes up blood sugar imbalances. So if there's any insulin resistance or hypoglycemia, this will be corrected in the process. Right, does anyone have any questions? Do you all know what you're doing? Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me today.
So when I got into my training with Theta Healing, I learnt about how powerful blessings are. So as a child in school, we were taught to pray. Pray before you eat. And I never really understood the magnitude of how powerful that was before I ate. And it wasn't until I got into my training with Theta Healing and we went over blessing your food. And when we learnt about the energy that goes into food as well. So when you have your mum's food, home-cooked food, there is so much love that goes into it. I know there are days where I'll go over to my mum's and she'll be having such a stressful day and she'll be cooking the food, and then I'll be like, I'm okay, I don't feel like it. And it wasn't until I noticed that it was because of the energy that she felt that went into that food, just because she was having a stressful day and she didn't really want to cook. So it made me aware that when I come to eat any food is to pray, to do a blessing on the food, to bless the hands that cook the food, to send unconditional love from the moment of conception of that food, from where it was grown, because the amount of chemicals that can go into it. I went to this conference on the weekend called Higher Love Today, and it was the first one in Sydney. And there's this brand of chocolate called the Chocolate Yogis. And what they do before they prepare the chocolate is they pray. They bless the chocolate. So it's raising at a higher vibration. Our power of prayer is just amazing. We forget sometimes how powerful it is when we don't do it. But when we do it, we can feel the energy of it, feel that love that goes into it. It clears all the negativity, all that negative energy. So if you're going out to eat food, bless your food. I remember when I had food poisoning, and the way that it happened was, when I look back on it, was I was feeling really down about myself. This was before Theta Healing, it was a few years ago. And the level that I was feeling resonated and attracted that experience into my life. So when you look at energy, if you're operating at a space of love, you're at this vibration. If you're operating at a space of anger, frustration, hurt, resentment, all these feelings are operating down here. These energies, they're operating down here. They're low. So if you're feeling any of these feelings, you're going to attract those experiences into your life. Also with food. So the way you change that is through blessing, is through power of prayer. Because it doesn't matter what had happened or what went in to that food or even in your life experience. Doesn't matter. When you're coming from a space of love, you're attracting love. So with your nutrition, it is definitely about lifestyle. At the moment, because you have that goal to let go of weight, you're being mindful of what you put in. But in the long term of things, you know, I know for me personally, I'm at such a great weight. I love my body. I absolutely do. But when it comes to eating certain foods that I know aren't the best for me, I'll bless it. So a few weeks ago, I wasn't a big coffee drinker, but the last few months I had been drinking coffee. And mine is like a weak soy mocha. And I started to notice that my face started breaking out a bit. And I remember like all this stuff came up around soy milk affecting your hormones if you have too much of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bless my coffee, because I forgot to bless my coffee. So I started blessing my coffee and my skin just went down. And that's how I knew in that moment that the blessing is so much more powerful. But it's not to say that I'm going to go through life and drink soy milk, like a liter of soy milk a day. Coffee for me sometimes suppresses my appetite. I can't always have too much, because then when I get off it, I feel it. My body is lacking vitamin B, or it's lacking protein because I'm craving it. My energy's low. So if you are going to drink coffee, take notice of how you feel about it. We are spiritual beings. We are so intuitive. We know what our body needs. So in those moments, if you're like, oh my God, I could so go for a burger. What is it about the burger? I use burgers as an example because I love burgers. Is it the meat? The meat represents protein. Is that meat processed? Is it, if it's processed, maybe go for a healthier alternative. Because we're going to go out, we're going to go into life, we're going to go out to restaurants, celebrate birthdays. We have to give ourselves options and know that, okay, well, I can go for the healthy alternative of grilled chicken salad. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test some beliefs. If you want to test, you're more than welcome to. Yours is there, Kerry. So what we think about food and how we feel definitely has an impact on how the food is absorbed into our body. If we are feeling stressed, it's going to be hard for our body to break down that food. And especially with what Jen was saying, those emotional factors definitely impact your body and your nutrition. So when you address the emotion and change that state, you're in a better space of being able to absorb your nutrition. also giving your body what it needs in terms of supplements. So I do a lot of work, and when I saw Jen and I told her, you know, my energy's low, and she picked up on it straight away, that my adrenals. And then she put me onto some ginseng and rhodola supplement. And I felt instantly, within 10 minutes, my body changed. So when it comes to vitamins and supplements, what I've learned in my courses was, so Vianna, who I went and did all my teacher training with, she's a naturopath. She studied herbs for years and years. And she says that the way you know if a vitamin is good for you is you put it in water, and if it doesn't break down within 10 minutes, it won't absorb into your body. So that was something I practiced. And the supplements that Jen put me on in terms of Metagenics, MediHerb, those brands, I tested it. And I found that the water just absorbed. It broke it down. So I won't go to the Vitamin King and get stuff off the shelf. I'll make sure that it is definitely over-the-counter stuff. So when you speak with Jen, and you can talk to her about it. So we'll do some muscle testing. So if you could all stand up. And get your yes.
Yes.
And then your no. And then say, my name is Bob. And then my name is. Okay. So I emotionally eat. I feel healthy in my body. I know how to take care of my body. So this next belief may not be for everyone. Every day I get closer to my ideal weight. I eat the right foods for my body. I am effortlessly maintaining my perfect body weight. I know how to eat mindfully. I know how to eat when necessary. I listen to my body and heed what it needs. It's easy to release weight. Here's another one. Every day I get closer to my ideal image. take a seat. I had a friend who came up from Canberra over the weekend, and I picked her up, and in that moment, she's very calm, very placid, very laid back. And as soon as I saw her and we were talking, everything just felt like it slowed down. And we went and had lunch. And in those moments, I was eating my food and everything. I realized how caught up I was with my work and my day-to-day life, getting caught up in the rat race, as they say, that everything was just fast-paced. But on Saturday, I realized how great it was to just sit there and take my time with eating without being in a rush, with absolutely listening to how my body feels when I was taking those bites. So when you're eating, close your eyes and feel the food that's in your mouth. It's a completely different experience. I know when I was working in, another job and running my business as well, that I was just like, okay, gotta go, on the go. So much was going on. I had to be at certain places at certain times where I didn't give myself enough time to really sit down and enjoy my food. But now I've given myself the time to. So if you're in your work and you have like half an hour break or an hour break, give yourself that time to enjoy your food. Don't rush, because your mind is going to keep thinking that it needs more food, and you're not going to enjoy the taste and the flavor that food has. So that's something to be mindful of on a daily basis, just to practice that mindful eating. So what we're going to do now is I'll talk you through that meditation. So if any beliefs came up for you, we'll change them. And any beliefs that weren't there for you, they'll be there for you. So this whole process is you being conscious through it. You have free will and choice to say yes or no to the changes that will be made. And we'll be connecting to that divine energy of love. So this is the theta healing technique. As we go up through all those white lights and connect to that energy of love and changing those beliefs. So just close your eyes when you're ready. And take a deep breath in. And visualize that ball of energy coming up through the soles of your feet, coming up through your legs, coming up and aligning all your energy channels in your body. As it's coming up at the top of your crown, picture yourself in that ball of energy and take notice to see what color it is. As you see yourself there in that ball of energy, shooting up past the sky, past the clouds, past the universe, going through a bright light. Keep going. In fact, there are many bright lights. Keep going until you get to that bright golden light, as bright as the sun, but it doesn't hurt your eyes when you look at it. Go through that light, and as you go through it, up ahead, you'll see a jelly, watery-like substance. Go through that jelly as if you're swimming through it. and feel your energy dissolve all around you. You may see different colors of the rainbow, different shapes and sizes. Then up ahead, you'll see that pearlescent light shining out of a window. Head for that light and feel your body one with that energy of all that is. I know what it feels like to live without emotionally eating. I know how to change stress into peace. I know what it feels like to be healthy in my body on every level, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I know how to take care of my body. I know exactly what steps I need to take in order to take care of my body. Every day I get closer to my ideal weight while I love and accept myself for where I'm at. I know how to eat the right foods for my body. I know how to allow my body to absorb the right nutrition and release anything that is not good for me. I am effortlessly maintaining my perfect body weight. I know how to effortlessly maintain my perfect body weight. I know how to eat mindfully. I know how to eat when necessary. I listen to my body and heed what it needs. It's easy for me to release the weight that does not serve me. I know what it feels like to be comfortable in my body. I love and accept myself for where I'm at. I know how to bless my food from the moment of conception up until the point that it is placed into my mouth. I know what it feels like to have discernment on what food is right for me and what is not. I know how to give my body what it needs. I know what it feels like to take the time to eat my food consciously. I know how to enjoy food. I love my food and allow my body to absorb what it needs. It's easy for me to eat healthy. I know how to eat healthy in my day-to-day life. I know how to take the time to prepare the food that is healthy for me. So now just take your awareness up into that pearlescent light. And take a deep breath in and allow that pure white energy to come through every cell in your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Cool. So we will muscle test those beliefs and see if there was a shift. So when you're ready, that's okay. Sometimes you just don't want to come down from that energy. But you never do. You're always connected to it.
I go so deep into it, and then like when I come to open my eyes, it's struggle.
So when you're ready, just say yes. Then say no.
Yes. No.
Then say, my name is Bob.
My name is Bob.
Then say, my name is.
My name is Jennifer.
I emotionally eat.
I emotionally eat.
I feel healthy in my body. I know how to take care of my body.
I know how to take care of my body.
Every day I get closer to my ideal weight.
Every day I get closer to my ideal weight.
I eat the right foods for my body.
I eat the right foods for my body.
I am effortlessly maintaining my perfect body weight.
I am effortlessly maintaining my perfect body weight.
I know how to eat mindfully.
I know how to eat mindfully.
I know how to eat when necessary.
I know how to eat when necessary.
I listen to my body and heed what it needs. It's easy to release weight.
It's easy to release weight.
Every day I get closer to my ideal image.
Every day I get closer to my ideal image.
So one belief I just want to touch on is that I am effortlessly maintaining my perfect body weight. So if right now, physically, you don't feel that it is, it's not a matter of waiting for you to see it to believe it. The belief comes first, then you see it. So the way you see that belief is, you are it. You are your ideal image. You are your ideal weight, because the reality will kick in. So one thing that I learned and that I discovered was, when you look at people who are naturally thin, do you think they think about what they have to eat or what they shouldn't eat? No. It comes natural to them. It's not a thought. I have stick figure friends that will just eat whatever. They'll eat whatever and they'll still stay thin, because it's not a thought process. That's how powerful our beliefs are, our mind space. The only difference between them and us or anybody is that they don't go through those thinking, those thoughts, or what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat? They don't have limitations. So get into that space of thinking like a thin person. And trust me, it will release the worry, the doubt, any limitations you have around yourself. Because this is about having an effortless lifestyle that gives you the freedom to do what you want in balance.